understand the progressive brain, we must know the terminology they use to refer to themselves. So watch this video and be educated on the democratic mind. Have you ever wanted to have a conversation about transgender terminology for genitals? Guys, don't turn off the video. It is hilarious, I promise you. No? Well, you're about to. And I warn you, this conversation is about to be very obscene. Viewer discretion is advised. What's in your pants? Some words for your genitals and why they matter. What's that you have there? Do you want me to call it a pussy or how about a dick? You might not have heard this question before and maybe it even seems a little weird. It's possible you think of the parts in your underwear as obviously one or the other and you don't understand why someone would ask. The thing is, not everyone is comfortable with that same language when it pertains to their parts. Not to mention the fact that many people have bodies that don't fit into the sexual binary. So let's talk about why people might like terms more than others, why that's important and how to have that conversation. And you're about to have that conversation whether you like it or not. There are so many words for body parts and an astounding amount just for genitals. Some of them sound more medical, some are more vulgar, some are just silly, like purple-headed yogurt slinger. The thing is, not everyone has the same association with these terms. As an example, find the word vagina overly medical for dirty talk, but my roommate is absolutely fine with it. Using the wrong term might sometimes just be a bit of a turnoff, while throwing certain words around without asking could be hurtful to a partner. As another example, many people have negative associations with the word cunt as randomly referring to someone else's body part that they could shut them down sexually or deeply insult them. Even that's not the same for everyone though. I use the word cunt casually or in a sexual setting all the time because for me it feels sexually charged. Even I would never want to refer to my or someone else's parts with incel terminology though. For example, I guess by incel they mean cis white male. I guess we're the weirdos. Why some need new words. For some people, picking and choosing comfortable words is especially important. People who have suffered sexual assault or abuse may find they require specific terminology when talking about their body or want to avoid certain trigger words for their parts. Intersex people who don't fit into the imagined sex binary might not always want their parts referred to in ways others assume. Transgender people are another group that might benefit especially from getting to pick how their bodies are referred to. Many trans people experience dysphoria, which for some is elevated when it comes to their chest or genitals. For some trans folk, this can mean they'd rather never talk about or engage sexually with their parts until they can receive gender-affirming surgery. Seems healthy, but plenty of transgender people, even those who experience dysphoria around their genitals and might want gender-affirming care, are happy to be sexually embodied with others as long as they're being treated respectfully. A major element of that respect is referring to people's body parts in ways that feel comfortable to them. New genital terms. Just like people in general, every trans person is different and has different desires regarding their body, how their body should be referred to. For some trans people, comfortable language comes from sticking to gender-neutral words like junk, bits, or genital. Outies and innies are also fun, cutesy, and ungendered ways of talking about certain genital configurations. That's what they're calling it now. I guess by configurations they mean whatever the doctor created for them. A lot of people would rather be referred to in a gendered way with the terminology typically associated with the sex they weren't assigned at birth. For example, many trans women and trans feminine people think of and call their parts clits. Some trans feminine people call their perineum their pussy, and some use words like that or vagina to talk about their junk in general. It's also common for trans masculine people to call their bits dicks or dicklets, or if they've been taking testosterone and seen growth down there, as T-dicks. That being said, plenty of trans guys can be perfectly okay with words like vagina or pussy or cunt, and plenty of trans women are happy to refer to their bits as penises, dicks, or cocks, which is awesome too. People can also take these typical terms for parts and modify them to be directly gender affirming. The most popular variation for trans femmes is probably girl dick, but I've also heard gick, gawk, and she-ness. Unfortunately, boy pussy or bussy tend to be used to refer to cis men's holes, but that doesn't mean trans guys can't use them too. Other popular terms for any trans guy parts are front hole and back hole. Any and all these ways to talk about people's bodies can be fun, sexy, and nothing screams sexy like girl dick, gawk, gussy, gick, gawk, she-ness, boy pussy, bussy. And can't forget front hole and back hole. And comfy, but they could also potentially cause dysphoria, discomfort, or just a bit of a laugh that breaks the mood. Well, I can certainly see it inducing laughter. The best way to know which words a partner or potential partner is comfortable using is to ask them. Talking terms with your partners. Whether you're transgender or intersex yourself, there's a potential partner who is, or none of the above. It's a good idea to check in with yourself and the people you play with about what words they do and don't what words they do and don't like. It's just man, it's kind of crazy. Like people you play with. Good idea to check in with yourself or the people you play with about. I'm a fan of direct communication, so I tend to ask about this stuff fairly early before any play is. It's kind of disturbing the way that they're using the word play. Happened. In a casual discussion situation, this can look like saying, oh, by the way, sorry, this is a little awkward. Are there any words you'd rather I didn't use in bed? That's not awkward at all. That sort of question can be great opening to a conversation, not just about body terminology, but also about dirty talk and communication in general. If you're already getting steamy with someone, you should keep an ear out for words they use to talk about themselves and mirror that. But no, it's still a good idea to ask directly at some point or bring up your own desires. Body terminology can also be lumped into conversations about language limits in general. For example, I love being called a slut, but only when I'm already being fucked. There might be days I'd rather you didn't, so I'll make sure to tell you. If you're calling me a slut and I'm into it, I'd probably love for you to call it my cunt too, but generally speaking, that word's pretty intense, and I'd rather just call it my front hole. It might feel a little awkward to talk openly about at the beginning, but it's important for harm reduction, and let's face it, communications can be pretty hot too. I love to hear all the dirty words my partners want me to use. It's part of what gets me in the mood to use them. Well, wasn't today a very productive day? We learned all about she-nesses and bussies and front holes and back holes, boy pussies, and all kinds of fascinating stuff about a culture that we really didn't know too much about. So yeah, people, I hope you enjoyed this window into the terminology that these nihilists, atheists, materialists, progressives, transhumanists, gender non-binaries, that these Democrats use. I think we're starting to understand that they got some problems that they need to deal with fast.